Lunch Break. 63rd episode, our New Year's wrap-up for 2021. Can you guys believe that?
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah. So we're out here, and we've grown as a crew, and we got Taylor Touchstone here.
I'm excited to have our creative consultant.
I knew you wanted to say that.
The GOAT, the greatest of all time.
She's so proud. She loves being called the creative consultant.
I do.
Yeah, she's been recognized for the last year and few months. So we're so glad you have us. I think we have some pictures of our crew that we've had through this year. I think they're coming up. There's us and smiling faces, and it's been exciting, you know. And I love just Adrian, you getting involved, and Mike, and then Kyle's been every position on this show that you can have, huh?
Yep. Except for the
So he's
her
been
job.
tech also?
Yeah, except for all of their job and yeah. But almost.
Yeah. Taylor will tell me what to do and how to do it, and I
critique the episode.
Yeah.
She's been doing that for what, 20-something years?
Yeah.
26.
Yeah. So she does it all the way from Irvine.
And shout out for the people that have stayed for the ride, who have been here
Yes.
since the beginning, and they're still tuning in and checking out.
Yeah.
Those are the MVPs.
Yeah. So what we're going to do for this episode, we hope you enjoy it. And I know Mike's going to post all the episodes, because we're going to comment on the episodes that may have affected us or spoke to us the most, because I think pretty much all the episodes, I even know when I had my wife on, that those episodes really spoke to us. And we're just going to kind of go through it, each one of us.
Yeah. Is it too soon for me to jump in and say, like, go out there and watch us on YouTube? We got the link on the screen. Follow us.
Yeah, watch us, like us.
Subscribe.
Tell them how to do that. What's that thing you like to change?
You hit the subscribe button and listen for those bell notifications when new videos are dropped. So,
Yeah, hit the bell.
Yeah.
Smash that bell,
Smash
as
that
they like
bell.
to say.
Do we got a crew of our shot of our tech crew today?
Yep.
We've got the guys back there, and
There they are.
Yep, there we are. Scoot in, and how about Dominic? Can we get a picture of Dominic? He's
Jump in front. There.
What's up, Dominic?
There again, one of the really neat things for me is to be able to be around with these guys, and you'll see a picture of Josh Vietti. He's kind of was the creator of Lunch Break, and it's just fun to see other people come in and get excited about the vision that we have. I mean, you know, Adrian came in, and Adrian, you've been a guest a couple times, and you've been a host 2 or 3 times also, haven't you?
And I think it's crazy too how I know when I shot the first one of the sets that we did, it was just me, Vince, and Josh.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
And now
was
our
with
team,
Vince and Josh at one point.
Our team is way bigger now. I mean, we even have a camera guy today. I mean, kudos to that right there. That we even have a camera guy.
I think the tech team, Mike, has saved us on more than one episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's 4 of them back there today, and there's more that rotate in and out. So.
And this is kind of off script, but I can remember the one that we ran, and I think it was one of our first solo away from the Valley Bible Fellowship page, because we're, there again, we've been launched our page, and we're up to almost 5,000 followers. So keep push us up there. But I was sitting in the seat, and we were should have been streaming. And Mike said we're streaming, but we were streaming on Tehachapi stream.
I do remember that.
So if you're watching from our Tehachapi campus, you'll probably see it. But if you didn't, none other one. So you saw our crew. I'm going to jump right in, because I think the episode that spoke to me the most was Pastor Rob McCoy's. And Pastor McCoy went out there last April, and it was actually April 5th. When Pastor Rob McCoy made a decision, and it actually hit the AP. He made a decision. He had a quote that said, "The King of California is not greater than the King of all creation. We're going to have church." And why that spoke to me was I kind of have a similar role with Pastor Ron and Pastor Josh and some of our staff, and that takes a lot of guts.
Yeah.
And a lot of trust in God, because as he shared on that episode, he said he first talked to his attorney, and after 3 phone calls, he realized that he was going to lose everything. Everything's everything. So then at that point, he said, I needed to call my board, and he called his board, and they said, hey, we'll stand behind you. And he goes, I got to call my wife. And as Rob said, that she made the comment to him, I'd rather be a widow than married to a coward. And it promoted him to keep his church open.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes too. I actually got to do it with you, so I was really. I think that might have been one of the first. There was the second one because the first one was Jeremy Adams, but I think that might have been one of the first ones I ever hosted with you.
Yeah, it was, and I think it's now okay to say we got a new set.
Yeah.
Look at all this. I want to thank Nathaniel and Andrew and Mike.
They worked hard. That's all their creativity today.
Yeah. So go ahead and put you guys in there, and we want to say a shout out to Andrew and Nathaniel. Just
give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, let's go.
Hey, you guys worked hard, man.
Hey, Adrian, turn that bottle around so everybody knows that that's sparkling cider.
I thought of that.
People are like,
hey, we're celebrating the New Year, right?
Yeah.
But we're doing it in a Christian way. So.
Yeah,
it might be sparkling
cider already.
It might be sparkling cider in yours.
You don't even have one.
I know. I'm kidding.
How come you didn't have one, Mike?
I don't know. They left me out.
I'm sticking
There's
to
two
water.
right here. He said he didn't want one. So
Yeah.
There's supposed to be 5. There's 5 out there, and there's 5 of you.
Yeah, okay.
There's 6 of us.
There's 6 of them.
Oh, there's 6 of you.
Oh,
right,
yeah, that's that BCHS math.
He's been working a long day. Just give him some.
Count now.
So that did. It spoke to me a lot. But also, Mike, that was one of our first location shoots.
Oh yeah.
We shot it in the preschool back here.
Oh yeah. No, that was we did. We set it up. We had a really cool event that Peyton helped put on. And
Yeah. And so it was back there, and that's one of the kudos to our tech team because they are able to pull off remotes inside this building.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. So yeah, that was one of the ones that touched me and was one of my favorites.
All right.
I will kind of just jump in here and tell you guys my favorite one. It was actually from last week. It was Emily Callahan's, and something that had stuck out to me that she said was something kind of that I experienced as well recently, where she was explaining how she applied 8 times to a job at Cal State. And for me, it's taken me 2 years to find a full-time job. I was working 3 jobs at one point, and it just was frustrating. And, I just kept asking God, like, bring the right job, and why wasn't it coming during those points? And it finally came, and when it comes, it's kind of like, you realize you're like, okay, God, you had a plan. But it is frustrating during those times, especially when you're waiting for an answer for so long. And even right now, I'm still waiting on answers for things. But, just trusting God. And when you see it happen, it's, it makes it worth it and realizes there is a plan. So that was one of my favorite episodes to listen to.
Yeah, too. And her difficulty that she witnessed Tom going through on that episode just paralleled exactly with her applying to that job. Like, I think that whole episode was about if it's hard, it's worth it, And that was I like that episode too. It was great.
Even to a point, as we were doing the interview, Adrian, it was interesting to me because you live through it and you don't always see the same angles. It's like a picture of a family. Your first attention goes to yourself or somebody else, what they're going through. But I think the thing that really grabbed me with that was Emily said, but what if I would have taken one of those other jobs or they would have been open? I may not have, ended up in the right spot where I had met my fiance and then my husband, and they have a beautiful daughter. So it's kind of when you put those pieces together, and you realize
it was a master plan.
Yeah, Jeremiah 29:11 says, I know the plans I have for you, plans of welfare, not calamity, of hope in the future. So I saw that one too, Taylor.
I like that one a lot.
I did.
All right. Adrian?
I think it's you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I saw touchstone on it, and I thought it was Taylor.
Yeah, no.
Sorry about that, Adrian.
It says Tiffany.
So, okay, I'm just going to admit, I have not watched all of the lunch break
boo,
shows.
yes.
You're the only one.
How dare you, Tiffany?
Whatever, Mike. Mike admitted that he hasn't even watched them.
I edited them, and I still haven't watched all of them.
And it's not out of any other reason, but just time and life gets busy, and then so I'll be running and trying to watch one on YouTube. So.
Well, what you tell them, what you told us is usually you have a student in your office.
Oh yeah, noon isn't usually a good time for me because that's lunch, and that's when kids are in unstructured time. And unstructured time, as you know, if you're a parent or teacher, is usually the time that stuff happens. So
They get in trouble.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they go to principal's office when they get in trouble?
Well, it depends.
I haven't experienced that. So.
It depends, or my students just come in to talk to me. Like,
Oh, okay.
They like
So
the
you were
principal.
that.
yeah,
person.
they're not
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
yeah, it's open door.
There was a few
and-
of those that when I was in school, like
Yeah.
the teachers or the staff, that whenever someone wanted to talk, they had you knew who you could talk to.
Yeah,
That's cool.
exactly. So we have a mentorship program, and so whether it's one of my mentees or just I just have connections with some of them, and they just want to come tell me maybe something's going on or they're having a bad day or whatever. But as I had been watching some of the episodes, one that really resonated with me was Dave Boyd. And it's funny, I don't know Dave well, but it's interesting. We're both in education, but he said he's a perfectionist and a people pleaser, and that he's lived his whole life like that. It's never enough. It's he's always got to do more. He has to try harder, and that is something that resonated with me because I am the same way. And it's like I have to get more education, or I need to, work out more, or I need to clean the house again, or I need to organize this, and I just feel like I struggle with, just being happy and balanced in the moment, and not always striving to get more, do more, or perfect something. And so when he said that he struggled with that, I thought, oh my goodness, there's other people like me that feel that they always have to.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, do something more. Yeah, and I think it's
content.
a personality trait. Yeah, where you push. So
It's a blessing and it's a curse, though.
it is. It is a blessing in a lot of ways because I've done things that maybe I wouldn't have normally done. But going back to school, in my 40s and things like that. But so it does. There's positive things, but it can also like really mess with your head, and you're never happy inside your head with who you are. And so, he talked about giving that over to Christ and how Christ can fulfill that. And so it just ministered to me that you would think that, him being in the ministry 20-something years, that pastor's wife, everything's perfect, but you have no idea what is going on
Don't think that about us.
inside of everyone's head. It's just so that was something that really ministered to me, and that it's almost like a daily like giving it to God, because even at night I'll be like, I didn't get this and I didn't check that off my list, and so
She loves lists.
and
So if she doesn't check a list off, it's really tough on her.
And
It
I
is
think,
true.
and also just like, for example, a lot of people send me stuff to proofread, and so that goes
That's
back to
hint for this guy here.
well, and it goes back to my personality, though.
When you say a lot of people, you mean Tom.
I'm
I'm totally kidding.
yeah.
I'm very glad that you do that.
Wait, can I start doing that too?
He's already has other people sending me stuff, but you know what it is though? It's that details, and so then when I look at it, I'll go over it 100 times, and then I'm like, I just want to rewrite the whole thing, and I can't just leave it alone, and so there's that trait that comes out, and so that's an example of how it affects my life, where I get so hung up with the details that I'm missing the big picture.
And she's married to somebody that isn't.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So,
Yeah, I'm very much like you.
yeah,
Same boat.
Yeah.
If
So
I can't go on vacation because I feel like I shouldn't be enjoying myself. I'm like, no, you should be working. It's like, why? You should be hanging out. I'm like, no, you should be working.
or
This
have
is
an
all going on,
itinerary to
and
get-
everyone else is just drinking coffee. And I'm like, this is going on in here.
Yes, it's a battle of the mind, and Dave experienced that. And no matter what success he had, he said that he still felt like it wasn't enough. And so, I think that is just for me is like a daily, ongoing battle that I'll always have to just give to the Lord.
And he told the right guy, because we had Dr. Jonathan Rizzo on the show that
yeah,
day.
and Jonathan like really
Do we have
evaluated
that picture up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Run the picture with Jonathan.
Yeah,
on the-
Jonathan pulled it apart real nice and
Yeah, so it's
explained the layers of it.
definitely
Yeah.
psychological, but I
It was
love
just a picture of the Tiffany's.
The last one you showed.
I love mixing in the spiritual, that we have to,
Yeah.
turn it over to the Lord, because you'll really find yourself in like an unhappy
Yeah.
state of mind all the time.
It was
So,
Dr. Rizzo right there.
Yeah, Dr. Rizzo.
yeah.
That is so weird.
Isn't it? Because you went to school with
I've
him.
known Johnny since he was a little kid, so.
It's weird for me because I was his teacher.
Right.
So,
I was his coach.
well, probably actually his academic counselor.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
Taylor was a PK with him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a
Both
little
PK.
older than you, though.
Yeah.
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 So, anyway, so that was mine.
That's awesome. So mine is a rock star cyclist, bike shop owner, Carrie Ryan. Of of course. But for me, the biggest thing that stuck out, because I've known Carrie for 14 years, just from the cycling world, and the only time I ever get him into church is when we're at a funeral and I'm the pastor officiating the funeral and he hears my sermon that day. But that's it. Like, I've never seen him open a Bible or something like that. But he's always been really nice. Yeah. But that day we did the show and Tom had talked about these Bible verses about Jesus' love for other people. And we brought up this moment for him where he was looking back at memories of Alton Sachs and what's his name? Norm Hoffman. Yeah, and what they did for the community. And so when we did the wrap up of the show, we said, "Hey, Carrie, is there anything you would like to share?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he quoted part of that verse. He said, "Love others more than you love yourself." Yes. And my jaw dropped. I was like, did Carrie Ryan just quote the Bible? But I mean, it reminds me of why we do this. Yes. I mean, the ultimate goal is so that people can be radically transformed by the love of God. And the only way they can really witness the love of God is through us and what we do, our actions.
It's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I've seen. That's why it's my favorite episode, is because he witnessed it and he was able to express it in those words. Like, yeah, that was my highlight was that.
You know, and I think our audiences can realize that. It's funny because remember, Taylor may not remember this. I was really good friends with her boss, Randy. And I remember Taylor one day called me and she said, "Yeah, I had to put up all the nets by myself."
It was at the country club.
It was at the country club, Mesa Verde in Irvine,
Costa Mesa.
Costa Mesa. and so Taylor was like, "Yeah, Randy had me put up all these nets by myself." And I was like, "Oh man!" And I started
irritated.
And I started thinking.
Job in college, by the way.
Yeah, she was a tennis pro at the thing and putting up nets. But I was like, why would he make my daughter do that? You know, he's a friend of mine. So then I couldn't make this up. He called me and he goes, "Man, I am so proud of Taylor." He goes, "I only had to show her one time how to put up a net, and I had to go take care of some stuff, and she did it. She did it right every time." And I'm like, "So this is a good thing." He goes, "Oh my gosh, it's a great thing." Remember I called you and I said, what you thought was good. He's like, right
The
on.
mind is funny like that. Mm-hmm. That is cool.
But it's interesting how I told her, I go, "No, you set an example for him because he thought he was going to have to keep helping you and you just got it. So it was a good thing." So like you said, we do what we do, sometimes not recognizing it's affecting other people.
Yeah, big time, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have a few that are my favorite episodes. So
And Mike, I think you would because you're the guy that, you see them more, intently than anybody else.
Oh,
you
yeah.
and Nathaniel.
Yeah. Well, we get behind the scenes and we get editing, so we get to see them more times than everybody else do,
definitely.
and we still don't watch all of them.
See?
I'm not giving you a hard time.
I was giving you a hard time, but then I'm getting
So
you
who
off,
sat me
letting you off
next
the
to my
hook.
wife?
And who sat me next to them?
Well, you're the creative consultant, so you got to take it. You got to be creative with your parents. But like that time in Vegas, right? We went
Oh, it was a good time.
with Teresa and with Doug, and two really good episodes and getting deep in those relationships. But like, I really felt like during that time, like God was speaking to both of us a lot on the same things. He spoke to us separately, and then like it was confirmed like through each other, and there was some cool stuff. And then we, had that conversation about that Timothy Paul like kind of relationship that you and I have, and like the episodes themselves were really cool, and I enjoyed doing them. But just that whole time period during that was really cool for me.
It was pretty special just because of the uniqueness. I got to be there with Doug, my mentor.
Yeah.
Got to meet Teresa, who's a legend and a rock star in her business, which is this. And you and I got to figure out a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I got to be with my mentor, and then
I got to figure out something. Mike and I did the same TikTok video. Mm-hmm. He just was in it with me. And he got more views than I did. I got 12. He got like 300. So what happened out there?
But you've taken off on
No,
that.
I have. But I'm just saying, because Mike and I did the same video. We posted it, people liked
You guys were bonding. I remember I was like, these guys are just like taking over the TikTok game right now, because it was like you were posting with each other and next to each other, and then one showing up in the next room. I'm like, these guys are just bonding. This is sweet.
Yeah.
But it was a really neat episode.
It looked fun.
And one of the things that I thought was crazy in it is that we went over to accomplish multiple things.
And we did.
And we even got to shoot our first two episode
Remote.
Yeah, remote. And we got to see our Las Vegas technical team in action, because Mike wanted to take some gear that would make the experience better. And we were just like, no, let's see what they can do.
Well, and that was our first recorded episode.
It was.
It was our first regular episode because we had a special with Peyton, which I'll get to in a second. But that was our first regular episode that we did with a female, which is cool. And so you guys it's awesome that you ladies are here with us also. But there was a lot of cool things that happened just in that time period.
I like it.
So then I also had Peyton. Yeah. So that was another one. So we did a series back to back to back, which you brought up the one about
I think
Rob
we have
McCoy.
A picture there of Peyton.
Yep, there we go. And Tommy did it. I got to do behind the scenes with that.
There's the preschool room right there.
But it made a great set, a little on location set.
That picture right behind Tom's back kept falling down.
It was fun.
Yeah.
But that was a fun episode, and she did a great job with that event.
We're looking at dropping that show first of the year.
Yeah, it's going to come out probably mid-January is when we're going to launch it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyone else, Mike?
No, I think Nathaniel's got a couple though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, really, just there's a couple here. I really liked the one you were mentioning earlier with
Teresa.
Teresa, yep. And that one was really neat. Just listening to it again, I was just kind of like, wow, because I wasn't there with you guys when you guys filmed that, so it was really neat just kind of going over that and watching what you guys did, and that one was really neat. Like it was
kind of a surprise for you because you're at most of these.
Yeah, it was, and besides that one, there was the one with Jeremy Adams. That was the other one, and I'm not going to be in the little picture, but it's all right. But this one really spoke to me because of the he was just really talking about kind of my generation and kind of like some of the issues that has been kind of really.
When he's seen it front line.
Yeah, he has. With kind of just like depression, what social media is doing to us, and just a lot of these things. And that's something that I've really noticed as well. And seeing me and some people that I know go through the exact same things, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's right. These kind of are issues. Why aren't we really doing anything about it? Why are we just kind of sitting here and just letting it happen? You know, but we got to do something. And seeing that kind of just really kind of motivated me to actually fix some things in my life to help me.
And I've watched you firsthand. Like, there's not a whole lot of people that didn't see like you daily like I do, and I've seen it firsthand that you have.
Thanks, boss. But it was a really good reminder of what I need to focus on in my life and how to better myself as a person and believer in Christ. You know, it was really neat. It was just really neat. Those were two of my favorite episodes.
I love it.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I like you talking about the social media aspect because you know, being older, I see that a lot with kids that I work with, you know, and the effects it has on kids. And it's like an epidemic. It's just, I mean, especially with the pandemic, there's like a serious social anxiety issue now with students coming back now and dealing with other kids and each other and authority. And because literally for 2 years, they've been, you know, on social media nonstop. A lot of the ones that I have seen anyway. So
my screen time has been up like over the last 2 years because I get a report.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My average report is about 6 to 7 hours.
Isn't that crazy when you get that and you think, what
No
in
way.
the world? How
Yeah,
can I be on my
legit 6 to
phone
7
that
hours
much?
daily.
It's like, yeah, no, I'm with you.
can,
Yeah.
set a limit for all the social media apps.
Yes,
you
you
didn't know.
can.
So
That's good to know.
I did that, so
that's
it
like
takes you
what,
right off.
That's like China, but they make you do it.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you, creative consultant.
You're welcome. Those time limits.
But good. I just say that. Good point, Nathaniel. I love to hear that. That's,
Especially from the younger generation.
yeah,
Nathaniel and
exactly.
Terry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just learned today actually that legitimately in China, they'll make it to where like if you scroll a certain amount of times, it forces you to take a 5-second pause to distract you. And they have certain hours that you're not allowed to be on social media.
Interesting.
They have rules, and I don't know. They might be onto something because I know social media can damage.
So why is it that the younger ones here are the ones teaching all of us to limit our screen time.
Well,
Yeah.
I have Taylor always telling me, Dad, put it down.
I tell him all the time. I do.
Probably because they're the ones that it's affecting the most. I mean, we're older,
Yeah.
you know, and
Well,
you know.
for me, it's actually pretty amazing because like not what 3 or 4 years ago, I remember I could sit down, read a book, enjoy like long experience times outside, and now I can barely sit through a chapter without being like, why isn't music playing? Why am I not scrolling with my? Why am I not scrolling? Like
was such
Yeah.
a good point.
I'm just
yes.
glued to anything. Like I don't care if it's a stereo. I don't care if I have to go buy a radio or something to play in the background. Like I just have to have something now on now.
Yeah.
It's just it's pretty insane how that.
Wow, we
that
could do an
changes.
entire show.
Yeah.
I was
100%.
And we're producing content.
Yeah.
But it's I think knowledge is power, and so just if we have to use that platform to get to it, but that sustained attention is affecting students tremendously. They cannot focus and have sustained attention to something.
Yeah.
So
Are you guys addressing that in school?
we're trying. I mean, we have social emotional learning that, you know, there's lessons in like basically, you know, taking a deep breath and all the traditional things that you would think of, being mindful of your actions, having a growth mindset, coping with anxiety. So yes, we are.
At the second grade level, I remember when we
Oh
were
gosh, our
teaching them.
kindergartners do social emotional learning. But yes, definitely. So
So if you like that topic, make sure you guys put a comment, send us a message, and let us know because we could do an entire episode just on that.
Well, and what's tough is like there's times, right? Because like my entire business is off of social media.
Yeah.
So if I'm not social media relevant, it's literally going to affect my pocketbook. So
correct, right.
it's tough. I have to be relevant, but there's a line.
There's a balance.
Am I scrolling
There's a
or am I
balance.
producing?
yes.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a
Yes.
good concept, Kyle.
Well, and in education, we didn't not necessarily social media, but technology, Zoom, everything. That we had to educate students for a year and a half that way. So we had to be
You became
using it
certified
and
in
savvy in
Canvas.
Canvas. Yeah, we used the Canvas platform, which is used in a college and a lot of high schools. And I mean, I had to teach second graders how to use Canvas. So
Our generation was coding on MySpace at a very young age. I was in third grade playing music. I couldn't do it today, but then I could.
you know what's so funny? It's just something in kids because I had hackers in second grade, 7-year-olds that could like hack in Canvas and change something. I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. How did you figure that out? And they would tell me, oh, you just press this and then you do that.
I
and
had the best wallpaper
So
and music,
smart,
and I don't know
yeah.
how I did it.
yeah. So anyway, but very good point.
Yeah. Then we got
I like it. I like it.
Mr. Andrew.
Andrew's up, I think.
My favorite episode, I actually was not here for it, but was the Mike Green and Wesley one because I've been involved. I wasn't in past military. I'm not a vet or anything, but I'm pro-military, and my father was a vet. My uncle was a vet. I have lots of friends that are in the Army as of today, and just to hear their story of what happened to them, traumatic issues with Mike losing his arm and Wesley losing both his legs, but still to come to church or to live every day and put a smile on their face. It really showed me like it's not always that bad. On the like, you can have something happen to you, but you're still okay. You know, God's still gonna be right next to you. You know, I think it was a really sobering moment for me to watch that episode.
You know, we filmed an episode right after that for next year with Mayor Go and Mike Maggard. And Mike Maggard and Mayor Go thanked us for that episode.
Yeah.
Because they both watched it. And Mike and Wesley got into a conversation because I asked them, how do you want to be treated? And they said, well, elevators are very awkward. Remember that, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they said elevators are very awkward because when we get in, people clam up.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you know, we as, you know, having, a lost an arm, a prosthetic, or Mike or Wesley with his legs, he goes, we got to usually break the ice. You know, he said it'd be easy if you just treated us as just normal people. And both Mayor Go and Mike Maggard were like, hey, thanks. That really helped us on the show when we watched it to recognize it. So it's the way, Andrew.
That's the way I felt when I first met Mike. his wife and I became friends actually in the cry room here, and then we became friends. And then I never asked him actually what happened. You always feel awkward going up to a vet or anybody that loses an arm, if they're a vet or not, and say, hey, what actually happened, kind of thing, So I didn't ask him until I heard about it on the podcast. I found out actually what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Andrew and you were in the cry room because you had your baby in the cry room.
Yes.
And it puts it in perspective. Like, you're like, I'm having a bad day, because something didn't go my way. And these guys are, everything. It affects their everyday living. And Mike is one of the happiest people.
Oh,
like,
I know, right?
seriously, always has a smile
Joking
on
around.
his face, always.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we could learn a lot from.
And when Wesley was here, Karen Go knew his whole entire name.
Yes.
Wesley Leon Barrientos. And it was like, the guy's a rock star. But I remember the first conversation, we sat down and had coffee, and he gave me this one line I will never forget, because he was dealing with the pain in his body. And he said, but pain lets me know I'm alive. And I was like, yep, I'm a wussy. I'm a pansy. I was like, that's like, but his life is that way. So that was one of my favorite episodes too.
Well, I hope what you're getting out of this is all these episodes were educational to us. I'll never forget Mike Green when we had Mike Green on the show. Because we have so many episodes that you guys hopefully will go back and watch. But Mike Green shared the moment where his commanding officer kissed him on the forehead. And Mike said, I don't think I've ever shared that before. Then on the show that Andrew's talking about, Mike brought up the fact that he went back on a Wounded Warriors retreat. He led it and ran into the medic that saved his life.
Wow.
On that trip, but they hadn't seen each other in 20-some years. But he ran into the guy, and he was doing okay. And he goes, we really got to connect. So there's things about that really drive people together. And it was neat for Mike to know that guy was a believer.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I love it. So,
Yep. And then I think, so what's my favorite episode, I think, and of course this is going to sound way worse than it's going to, but it was the one, of course, that I co-hosted. but look, that's not the whole reason. It was almost kind of, I'll give you some context. So very early on, when this was Josh and Vince kind of starting this thing, I was on the podcast. They had me on, and it was fun. And I was nervous, and I was like, you mean I've got to like share? How deep do I go? There's just a lot of nerves attached to it. And we finished, and I was like, okay. And I thought that was done. My involvement with the podcast, that was the end of it. And flash forward, I've co-hosted multiple times, and I then was on again. That show's going to be dropping, and that was a fun one with these two gentlemen. And just seeing where it's ended up is kind of cool. And that's what ties this in. There's been a couple of key moments, and I'm not a believer of coincidences. I don't think anyone here probably is. And Tom says, hey, Kyle, would you like to be a co-host with me on this show? I said, okay, sure. A little bit nervous because I'm like, who's it going to be? A lot of questions. What do we ask? What do we do? And he said, it's a gentleman named Trevor Martinezson. I said, okay. And for some reason, the name kind of rang a bell. And I have a good friend and neighbor named Lance Osborne. He's a firefighter. And
I ran into him a few weeks ago.
Lance, you did?
Yes,
Good. Good. So, yeah, it goes deeper even then. So Lance is a good friend of mine. I was selling his house, and he says, hey, and I had moved onto the street into a new house for us. And Lance says, hey, I'm buying a house, but, it's going to be a private party sale, but can you kind of consult us through this thing? I said, absolutely, of course. And so we got his old house sold, and we were consulting on the new one. And I was wondering why Trevor's name was sounding familiar, and it clicked. Or I called Lance and I said, hey, this guy has something to do with the fire department. His name's Trevor. He goes, yeah, dude, he was your neighbor. Like, what do you mean? He's like, until I took his house. That's the house you consult. Like, that was the house you helped us on. Wow. And so Trevor was at one point my neighbor briefly until I helped my friend Lance buy his house, at which point Trevor left, and then it got even more interesting. So, so what are you doing now? He's like, oh, well, we have a house in Shaver. Of course, my wife and I were looking for a house in Shaver. I said, well, we might be your neighbor again. And so it was really cool. It just, little things like that. It's like a thumbprint from God. Like, hey, you're part of something here. And it's something I'm orchestrating. And it was cool. Trevor and I have connected. And then we did the
911 at Ease.
The 911 at Ease.
You both came to it with me.
And that you had invited me months before. And I just remember thinking like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what this thing's going to entail. So going into it thinking like, I have no idea. And then for it all to wrap up with that was just like, man, God's doing a good thing here, not only in my life, but I'm sure everybody here has felt some impact of God.
Whatever role I think we have on the show, it affects us. I too was like you and Adrian, where I was on Josh and Vince's show, and then about 2 weeks later, I got the question from Josh. He goes, "Hey, would you take the show over?" And I was like, "Maybe, yeah."
Yeah.
As I went to the Lord, I think I got the impression that I don't want to do it alone. So I went to Josh. I go, as long as I don't have to do it alone. He goes, "No, you didn't." J2, Justin Greer did it for a year. Justin speaks on Wednesday nights. He's doing things. And then season 2, we were like bringing on the co-hosts. And I think we've picked up speed.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting, all of this was birthed from, you saying yes.
Yes. That's it.
Well,
Hey, can you take it over? And then your yes has resulted in like 9 camera
this
guys
here right now. Yeah, right? No, it's super.
How cool is that?
But I got involved in a kind of similar, like Tom was like, "Hey, come check out what we're doing." And I was just like showing up to watch.
We even have a creative consultant.
Yes. Taylor Touchstone, creative consultant.
The infamous-
We're missing Tessa.
If you
Yeah,
wondered,
we are missing Tessa.
We're
if
missing
you wondered
Tessa.
who our Tom Brady is, right here.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, it's interesting because I've asked both my daughters to do it, and Tessa's been a guest on
For
Peyton's
Peyton.
show.
Yeah, she was on Peyton's.
Yeah,
that
I
was
think she
fun.
was the first guest.
She was.
It'll be part of the shows we drop.
It'll be in
I
January.
really just help him with what to wear. If he comes up not matching, I did not help him that day.
Taylor, I heard
Which
so many
happens a
things
lot.
about
Which
what you
happens a
add
lot.
to the show that go on behind the scenes.
You should have seen what he was gonna wear on Sunday. He pulled it out, and I was like,
Is this like a guy thing, like that, like they just don't, or is it like a colorblind thing? Because that's a thing.
No, I'm not colorblind.
No,
Okay.
it's
I think it's
Because that's happened on the show, right? Like there's been people who have came
Yeah.
forward. And,
Yeah.
Okay, I
Mike
thought this was going to be one of those
Maggard,
moments. Dang it.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
go,
there's
I go
no
to my
excuse.
daughter all
She
the
was,
time, and my daughter, my daughter, you guys all my daughter.
Yeah.
She's 5. She's 6. No, she's 6. She would correct me. She always tells me what to wear, and she's 6. She has great fashion sense. So for girls, it starts young. For guys, we never get it.
No.
Except for Kyle, apparently, with the Patagonia.
Look, dude, I just do what I can. I do what I can. It's my job to at least be somewhat presentable. But Tom's too, so but luckily he's got you.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he listens to the daughters more than his wife. So
Oh.
That's not completely true.
it is. But
Well, there again, I love it. Does anybody else have anything they want to say that they had?
I think our guests, like you guys, the
Yeah.
people who are watching the show, your perspective, your views about what we're putting out there, that really matters
Huge,
to us.
important.
Sometimes we don't get enough of your perspective. So if you guys could give us more of that, we could bring on different guests. I mean, tell us who to bring on, who
Yeah.
you want to see on the show.
Great
I mean,
idea.
we
Well,
would
I
love
have a
that.
challenge. I say I challenge you, the audience, to go through and watch all the episodes and drop in the comment on YouTube or Facebook or whatever platform you're on, and tell us which one's your favorite, and then you guys can take a look and also see what the audience's favorites
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Maybe they have somebody they want to see us bring on. So, Mike, how would they do that?
So
You
there's
took your mic.
Comment section.
I have to. Come on.
He's been taking mine too.
I think we're all A personalities.
No, I don't know if anybody would ever say I'm assertive, but so couple ways. So number one, you can message us on Facebook Messenger. Number two is if you just go ahead and leave a comment on any video, we'll get that and see that. So and especially go over to YouTube, go and subscribe, like we said before, and click on the bell, get the notifications, and you'll get all the updates.
And then maybe subject matter too. Like if it's not
Yeah.
necessarily a guest, if you're like, hey, can you bring someone on and maybe shed light on this, or whether
Agreed.
it's depression.
I love
or,
this- I love this
It could be
idea.
anything, right? But yeah, feedback.
We
That's
have a
what
lot of
this is for.
resources.
Yeah, and we
Very
already
good.
know we're doing one on social media
Yep.
and all that.
Yeah,
Because I
that'll be
mean,
fun.
there's a lot to that. Because I did early start development program, and all the kids that we trained them on tablets.
Yeah.
a little screen already. And this is like 6 months old, 1 year old. And it works, but that show is going to happen.
I struggle
So-
with that, yeah. Because
Yeah.
my daughters are wanting to get on social, and they're wanting to be, and it's like the reality is if we don't let them know how to operate and work it, they're going to be left behind. But at the same time, it's like, do you want to corrupt them?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, it always reminds me of the printing press. When it was made, it printed Bibles, and it also printed bad material. So it's one thing that can spread good, but it can also spread bad.
Well, I think that's even biblical, right? What the devil meant for destruction, God meant for our glory, right?
He does.
So, but just with that, I want to add this one comment.
Absolutely.
Someone said, "Why don't they ever have any women on the show?" Well, you're getting it. We've got some. You guys did your first female guest
We did the first female guest
in
with
Vegas.
Tigo.
Tigo, yep.
And then
You
Kelsey
guys?
and
You
I,
and Kelsey.
we have some ones coming up
You got,
that will drop.
There was
after the,
2 with you, and
Yeah.
then there's going to be another one with you in there.
Yeah, we have a
There's-
really good one coming up after the first
We
year.
got the whole Touchstone family on video
we
now.
do.
So the
My family's always known this. When I serve God, it usually drags them in, right, Taylor? Yeah,
all over life.
it does. Yeah.
But so I'm just glad that we're getting
I agree.
a female
I agree.
perspective on some things.
I agree.
So,
We got some good guests. And,
young and old. So
I like it. Anything else, Andrew? Nate? Anything back there?
Don't forget to follow Tom Touchstone at TikTok.
Oh,
no, yeah. Thank you for giving him his shameless plug that he
Don't
usually
follow
does.
mine.
Why not? Kyler's is great.
Well, you could promote mine a little bit.
It's for
Thanks, Andrew.
specific
Or,
audiences.
or you can follow Mike Harvey on
Yeah.
TikTok and me as well. I make
Well,
content as well.
And let's
I
not
think
let's not forget about MLH production.
Yeah, I wanna thank
Showing
Michael.
up and making it this awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
MLH Production. Yeah, Mike, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for taking the burden of this. And there again, we're looking forward to season 2. And
Yeah, we said it a few times already, but I really want to say thanks to the tech team back. These people back
Yeah.
here who
Yeah,
volunteer
there's
their time to
Valerie
come
Yeah.
down here and
Yeah.
help run
Yeah.
this.
Valerie's back
I-
there.
Yeah,
Valerie's back there hiding in the
Valerie,
corner.
good job.
right?
Yeah,
Good
Yeah,
job.
the team's
They're
rock
gonna
stars,
be
Dominic
running
and
the
Valerie.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to be running it
Oh, yeah.
eventually. So
Yes, they will.
yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be. The Bible says he moves us from glory to glory. So it's neat to watch everybody come in based on Josh and Vince's lead and then to see it grow to this. So,
So happy New Year.
Happy
Yes.
New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
There.